just to let you know, I'm going full on spoilers right here. So if you have not seen Shin Ultraman and you care about spoilers, like this is the video, spoiler video, get out, like right now. Like seriously, I'm gonna spoil like the entire movie in this video. So please, get out. Now, final warning. I don't want to see you back until my next video and until you've seen Shin Ultraman. Anyways, with that out of the way, hopefully people who care about spoilers are gone. And can I just say, it was weird that she kept slapping her own ass. Like, wasn't that weird? I know this is like a weird like thing to start off with a Shin Ultraman review, and especially since it's a movie I love. But legit, she kept slapping her own ass in the movie. It was weird. She even slapped her coworker's ass. That's sexual harassment.
Get slapped ass!
She's gonna. Yeah. I think we need to. I think the Science Patrol needs HR representative because the fact she's slapping her like that was like one of the weird fan service things I talked about in my non-spoiler review. It was so weird that they kept pointing out to her slapping her own ass. Like what was going on there? It was like very jarring. And I'm sorry I don't remember names really well, so main female lead, you know, that's who I'm talking about. Also, I'm just getting the negatives, the little bit, negatives right out of the way, so I can talk about the things I love. I also didn't really care about her fan servicing moments when she was giant size. A callback to Fuji being turned giant by Seijin. But yeah, there's a upskirt shot of her, and there's just it got a little bit too fan servicey. Just not enough for me to be turned off. By the film. It wasn't like something so drastic that it like actively harmed my viewing experience. It was just like, oh, okay, it was a little off. That's all. But yeah, anyway, other than that, I felt like they could have developed like sort of the team dynamic a little bit more. And again, I guess that's a little, kind of the struggles of adapting a entire TV series into a movie, because this pretty much takes us from the events of Ultra Operation Number One to, Farewell Ultraman. In fact, they name drop that title in the movie. Seijin does. So yeah, I wish they could have developed more on the team relationship, so I really could have felt, Ultraman and the Science Patrol really became buddies. And that's the key word there, buddy, with them. And I think they could have done it, between Gabra and Zarab, because it felt too quick for the Science Patrol to start trusting Ultraman after only the fights with Naranga and Gabra. It's just I didn't feel like there was enough trust. If maybe there was a time skip, who knows? And they just mentioned that Ultraman has been defeating monsters, and we see more, of Ultraman, aka Shinji, developing a relationship with his teammates a bit more during that time. I think it would have really benefited the film, but not having it doesn't necessarily hurt the film. But it is something that I think is needing address. I just, again, in my more initial thoughts, I don't have any notes written. So, other than those two things, I love the movie. I think one of my favorite Ultraman movies. It's kind of hard to See, the thing is, I've only seen the movie once, you know, so it's like I needed to watch a movie a couple of times to really sit with it, to really grasp of how I feel in like other movies, like other Ultraman movies, other Tokusatsu movies. But I will say, I love, you know, what we got here out of first impression. I love how dedicated it was to Ultraman. Um, oh, another thing that I should point out that was a bit of a negative. Well, not necessarily negative, but more so like weird. It's just that Ultraman was pretty silent. Not in terms of like he has dialogue and he talks in in his human form and alien form. It's not that, but we didn't get a shwatch or a ha. We didn't get really any grunts or that. And it felt a little weird, but nothing deal breaking whatsoever. Just like, oh, I just want him to be Shwatch. That's all. That's all. I just want one Shwatch. But I really enjoyed the movie's fast paced. I think I mentioned that in my spoiler free review. You know, oh, by the way, I didn't mention this in the last video. I should have, but uh, I love the audience reaction to the movie. Uh, like there was a lot of cheering and clapping at the beginning of the movie, which I participated in, and and there was like cheering and clapping at the end of the movie as well. Not just when the credits roll, but there's a little moment in the movie where cheer, and it was in fact we get to see the traditional Ultraman rising pose. We finally got to see the sequence, and let's talk about that. This is ending spoilers, but yeah, they say even though Ultraman has some really cool transformations, like when he goes to transform to fight Zarab, you might have seen it. Like his hand clenches the body, and as he rises out of the building, that was so fucking cool. But no, we have the traditional one, and that was saved for a very crucial moment, and that was so like Ultraman, like humanity is using Ultraman to destroy Zeton because Zeton is going to destroy Earth. And by the way, what a twist! Zeton wasn't brought by the Zeton alien race, but by Zoffy. You probably have heard the spoilers if you don't care about spoilers, but yeah, it was really interesting. It's not so much of malice intent, but more so like, you know, because of Ultraman's actions, Zoffy, was like, look, one, you broke the code. Two, now that everybody else sees humanity as a potential weapon or threat, we got to take humanity out. I'm sorry, they're just too destructive. We can't have them be like this. And Ultraman disagrees. He sees more. You know, he sees more. He has more faith in humanity. He has more hope for humanity, and that is like the key thing about this movie is hope. But yeah, anyway, it put a big old smile on my face seeing the pose because the pose was saved for like because it's like a punch. Like Ultraman's like literally going to punch Zeton when he's like firing his destructive blast. So it's actually a very emotional moment. That was a great moment, and it just I think it put a smile on everybody's face. So that was really cool. I also love that it didn't like just focus on the Showa era movies or bringing callbacks to those. Like I said movies, but I meant the shows. Like you get obviously references to Ultra Q and original Ultraman, but I feel like they brought well. There's a little Easter egg with Ultraman Jack with the pose, so like his transformation starts off with the light. It's part of the Khara studio light that was used in spot of the movie. That was clever. Then there's Zoffy's face from Ultraman Ace, where he's like really close to the camera like that. It's been memed, but yeah, that was that was really cool to see that. But I feel like they borrowed a bit from Ultraseven with specifically relationships between aliens and Ultraman and human race because that was a core element in Ultraseven. Even though we got some of it in Ultraman, it was more so the focus of Ultraseven. And we got more alien to alien talks. Another thing they borrowed from a previous show was Return of Ultraman, which was in Return of Ultraman, the kind of hierarchy of that show is like it starts off with you know monsters based in from Earth, and then it escalates to monsters from space, and then it escalates to aliens. So in this movie, we get the first two fights being with Kaiju, and then having it go escalate to the two aliens, and then escalate to Zeton. So I felt like that element was borrowed. But there's more recent things that I feel like Shin Ultraman borrowed from the Ultraman series. I felt like it borrowed, like, first of all, it borrowed the ending from Ultraman Dyna. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Ultraman Dyna. I know I'm spoiling Shin Ultraman, but I'm not I'm not gonna spoil Ultraman Dyna. Well, it's different. If if you watch Ultraman Dyna, go, you know, you know what I'm kind of getting at, especially if you've seen the movie. But yeah, there's just like this part of the ending where it borrows, you know, from Ultraman Dyna and sort of the plan that goes into motion when defeating Zenon, which I guess I'm not going to really spoil to you how exactly Zenon is defeated because one, I don't think I'm smart enough to explain it, and two, I want to leave some surprises. Another series I feel like Shin Ultraman borrowed from was Ultraman Tiga. Specifically, there's a important theme of Ultraman Tiga where Tiga is both light and human, and Trigger touched upon that a little bit, but it was a big part of Tiga, especially for one episode where you know it was about Daigo has to decide what to do with humanity, like go against humanity's choice. And what I mean when how Shin Ultraman touches upon this, because Shin Ultraman and he mentions to Mephiles that he is both human and Ultraman. He's both human and alien. Or no, it was to his coworker, but he brings it up again where he's like, well, there's my alien side, but my human side, will do that. There's like stuff that's like Ultraman is like saying that he'll do, or doing stuff where it's like that's not exactly Ultra like, but it's very human like. There's also, I think, Ultraman Mebius had borrowed the element of, the team doesn't know in the beginning, that, the host is Ultraman, or the form is Ultraman, but halfway through they do know, and even the public knows, so I feel like that element was borrowed from Ultraman Mebius. One surprising element I didn't expect to see was I think they borrowed from Ultraman Rube, specifically with Mephiles Seijin. He feels a lot like the combination of Ultraman Rube's villains, but leans more towards Aizen because he is kind of a charismatic, like villain. Sorry, it's just like I'm trying to make sure I'm in focus on the camera, so that's why my eyes keep darting over there. But yeah, and there's the element where he keeps saying, common phrases like doing Rome what the Romans do, and then well, follow that. It's like one of my favorite sayings, and that reminded me of the second villain in Rube, who she would mention, a quote from like an ancient historical figure and mentions, an old, my old friend Albert Einstein said, or my old friend William Shakespeare said, but it's different because Mephiles is saying, you know, do like again phrases like when in Rome, do what the Romans do. One of my favorite sayings. He usually ends it with one of my favorite sayings. But then when Ultraman escalates the battle, he or like he steals what's called the beta box. I'm not going to describe much about it. You can watch the movie. I know it's spoiler, but I'm not spoiling everything. But anyway, when Shin Ultraman interferes with the deal between Mephiles and the humans, Mephiles says the phrase when the ends justify the means, and he says one of my least favorite sayings. That got a good chuckle out of the audience. I love Zarab's design. I love that story element. I love how everything is connected, but it still feels that episodic nature from Ultraman. I love that. At first, I wasn't sure about it, but I had to like. It's one of those movies that you have to like kind of keep watching, and as you see everything fit together, and be like, oh, okay, like it's just you got to be patient and watch the movie. I know, shocking, but yeah, there's that. Some of the other stuff that was interesting is that Gabora didn't have his traditional war. In fact, it was his war was borrowed from both Gudon and King Kong's war from the 1962 King Kong versus Godzilla. That was interesting. Um, by the way, I love how they actually referenced the birth of Ultraman. So in the beginning, Ultraman lands on Earth and fights Naranga, and Ultraman's all silver, like his red pattern's silver, and he has a silver body still, obviously. So he's like sort of black and white. Well, that's in reference to Birth of Ultraman being in black and white, and that was the stage show that really was, the first time Ultraman appeared on TV. So like it came out a week before episode 1 of Ultraman. And in the Birth of Ultraman special, Ultraman appears and they show a clip, and that clip was of Ultraman versus Naranga. So I think that was a really cool thing that they pretty much referenced the Birth of Ultraman in Shin Ultraman. Another episode I didn't think was going to get referenced because of the lineup, but I'm glad it got reference was, a little hero, specifically one of the team members. He starts, like putting too much faith in Ultraman, and questions what's the point, we're we're completely useless, to the likes of Ultraman. But, and a little hero, he like is the day, pretty much the same. It's like, what's the point of us if Ultraman's gonna be there to save the day? So it was really great. And I think I like how Shin Ultraman executed, the idea of humanity has to fight Zedon a bit better in here. I don't know, than the original episode. Again, I have to watch the movie a few more times when it hopefully releases sooner rather than later. In a wider capacity, because you can guarantee I'm going to see this movie multiple times and get it as soon as it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. But yeah, that was really great. So I'm gonna wrap it all up with my overall thoughts. And again, I probably will do like more of a sort of general like review, like a better script, fleshed out review when I've seen the movie a couple more times, and B, it's going to be for John versus film. For when it comes to Henshin John, that's going like I'm going to be talking more specific points, and dissecting the movie a bit more than in terms of an overall review. But yeah, right now the first right off the bat, I really love the movie. It is something I've been looking forward to. I don't think I was overhyped for the movie. And also, I really loved that I got to see it with a bunch of Ultraman fans cheering on the movie, and got to see the Shinji Higuchi Q&A. That was really awesome. Yeah, all I can say is if you end up watching this video, and you didn't care about spoilers, I honestly, when this movie comes out in a wider release or wider capacity, please do yourself a favor and go watch it. I mean, if you're watching my channel, chances are you're a fan of Ultraman, Kaiju, Hideaki Anno, all of that stuff. But yeah, I really love it. I can't wait to see it again. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Take care and shoo-watch!
Welcome to the squad, man.
Thank you.
It's good to see another.
All right. Muy bueno. All right.